how to love, right? How to love right is the subject of today. Love is can be a hard thing, source of a lot of pain, a lot of confusion, and there are such things as doing it wrong. I think we know that, and if we understand what loving wrong is, we can try to understand what loving right is. And growing up, those are questions that everybody has. These are questions that everybody has because we all go through life and wondering about the responsibilities that we have towards people, and what does love entail, and what's the link between pleasing the other person or pleasing people, and between that and taking care of the responsibilities that we have towards them, right? And should it be a balance of both and stuff like that? And all of these things are really things that I wish I would have knew when I was growing up. I wish I would have understood earlier on, because I couldn't figure out that. But with time, right, comes trial and error, comes friendships, comes stuff like that, right? And you start to understand that love isn't necessarily just about romantic relationships, right? It's also about all of the other ones. Everybody that you love, you have that dynamic there between how do you love people? How do you do that right? And I guess to do it right, we mean to find a way which is sustainable, to find something which you can do and repeat and through time get better at, right? But it has to be some type of an understanding. And if we just got to an understanding and try to figure out how, it doesn't mean that there's less risk. It doesn't mean that trying to explain it or whatever is a source of it doesn't come from a place of fear. It more comes from a place of concern, or a place of not concern but a willingness to want to do right by people and to not mislead people. Because one of the responsibilities that you have when it comes to dealing with people is to make sure that what you say to them you can fulfill, to make sure that what you are sort of referring to by how you act and what you say is clear, and now you're not misleading them into thinking something else, right? If a guy dates a girl and for him love is to show the most affection, but he doesn't expect or doesn't think about what does that create in the other person. Well, he meant right, but now she ends up lost, and now he's going to find himself in a position where he didn't think that far, and now he has this on his hands. And the point of this whole story is to speak about, well, how do we do that, and how do we approach it in a way that we do not create pain in other people, and how do we not create pain in ourselves, because both people pay in situations like that. And you realize that love always comes down to having an understanding of who we are, because if we get an understanding of who we are, we can be more clear towards people that come into our life, and the people whose life we go into. And so that starts there. It starts with understanding who you are. Who you are that cannot be taken away from you. Who you are that is the true self, not I'm someone who really likes Subway or something. It's not that. It's more like who you are in relationship to other people. Because that never breaks. Whether the people leave, whether the people stay, if you're a husband, even if your wife leaves, well, you're an ex-husband, because that's part of you. That's who you are, and that comes with responsibilities. If you're a son, you're a daughter, you're a father, you're all of those things. Those things come with a truth that is related to other people. It's not just in your head. It's not just one or two people thinking that the sky is yellow, the sky is blue, right? So it's a shared thing. And that's where it starts, is to be clear about those things. Be clear about, okay, who am I? Boom. I make that list. And a friend can also be part of this. You can be a friend to people. And maybe this is a conversation for a different time. What is a friend? But all those are questions that you got to answer for yourself. And that's where it becomes like personal. But once you have that list of things, right? And you find yourself in a position where you have a growth in yourself, and now you're part of somebody else's life in one way or another. Well, now it's about, wouldn't it make sense to say that now it's about fulfilling that position, right? Rather than trying to please the other person? Because the guy from the example from earlier who showed the most affection and stuff like that, didn't really, it's clear that he didn't know what that position was. He didn't know how to fulfill that role that he wanted to fulfill. And so what he did instead is he aimed for pleasing the other person. And that is not sustainable, because what pleases people always changes. What pleases people is flimsy. It's not something that you can take and sort of and have confidence in how you approach it. It sort of depends on them. And to go through life depending on what this person wants at this time, this day, whatever, doesn't really make sense, and it makes you a slave to that. And so now they're unhappy because the purpose of you being in their life, whether they recognize it or not, was for you to fulfill a certain place. And you're unhappy because you're sort of all over the place trying to understand what does this person wants. But it's not about them. It's really like a relationship with yourself. And that's what it really is. It's to realize that it's between us and ourselves, not us and the other person. That comes afterwards. And so what I mean by all this is that if we just were to write down, okay, I'm this towards this person, what I can do to fulfill this is I think somebody in that position should act like this, should act like that, should act like this. And from there, I can be at peace knowing that I did what I had to do. I can be at peace knowing that I feel like I fulfilled that position. I feel like I fulfilled that. I think I was a good husband. I think I was a good father. I think I did everything that a good friend should do. And if that wasn't enough, and then the people for who I was sharing that with didn't appreciate it, there won't be any pain. There won't be any hurt, because I know that I fulfilled it. And because it was clear to me what that was. And so there won't be remorse. There won't be regret. There won't be none of that. There will just be the acceptance that the rest I cannot control. And if you approach life like that, right, a lot of remorse goes away. A lot of overthinking goes away, because now you have a point from which to ground yourself into. You have a place from where to be like, okay, well, I understand from where I see how somebody like that should act. I understand what I should do and stuff like that. And yeah, a source of a lot of pain is to put us also in a position where we don't know this. We don't have clarity. And I hope that this helps somebody out there find clarity in their own life. And because I wish I would have understood this earlier. Because a lot of source of pain that we go through is related to this. And so I hope this was valuable. And yeah, so it really comes down to creating that and giving it to the world and allowing it to live on. Thank you for watching. See you on the next one.